What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Venusaur in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section of the video. If you enjoy these videos, they get you thinking, drop a like and let's get into it. Alright, I want to start covering some of these starters or final starters, so I thought we'd go with Venusaur. So Venusaur is a pretty decent Pokemon all round, and it can do quite a few different roles. So I'm going to be starting with a sweeping, bunch of sweeping sets here. So Venusaur, obviously with its stats, and nothing like super duper amazing, but it's got a pretty good amount of special attack and special defensive bulk, and with Chlorophyll ability gives it some very, very good chance to be a sweeper, especially on Sun teams. So we're going to be looking firstly at a Sun sweeping set. So this set's definitely more based on a singles format sort of set, and we've got some doubles and stuff coming up. So we've got an ability as Chlorophyll and Overgrow. So most people are going to be using Chlorophyll, and it's going to be very nice at doubling Venusaur's speed. So, you know, base 80 speed isn't the greatest in the world, but you know, once it's doubled, it's very, very fast. So the move Growth is pretty much staple here, because that's going to give you a +2 in attack and special attack if it's used in the Sun. Let's say the Sun isn't up, you can still get a +1. So it's a very, very decent boosting move, and you could always disguise it as a physical set too. So if you really want to change it up a bit, you could go for a physical one, and the opponent may think you're running a special one. So along with the Sun being up there, you've got some great partners. Like, I'm going to do some partners and stuff as we go on, but we've got like Torkoal and things like that that can just set Sun up, which make very good partners. So we've got Solar Beam, which is going to work very nicely in the Sun. We've got 120 base power. It's going to be hitting very, very hard. Plus, it's going to be charging straight away, so you don't have to wait. Now, you could possibly run Giga Drain too if you wanted to, but there is a big difference in base power. So I'd probably be opting to go for Solar Beam. But, you know, if you're pretty confident that you know, you've got, well, if you've got enough Sun users on your team, go with Solar Beam. If you only got like one or something like that, maybe go for Giga Drain in case the opponent swaps around the weather, because then Venusaur is going to be obviously not very fast again, right? So have plenty of Pokemon or plenty of ways to get that Sun going. You could opt to put Sunny down here, but I would recommend probably not doing that. Growth is enough, and 3 special attacks. So Solar Beam, Weather Ball is a very, very good move on it, because you've got we've got Terra Fire, so as well. So we're going to have a Fire Weather Ball with the Sun. So that's going to get around Venusaur's like biggest counter being Steel types for the special side, and Sludge Bomb is just on there to round off some you know, it's Poison Stab. Probably you'll find you're probably going to be using Solar Beam and Weather Ball the most. I feel Sludge Bomb is just good there for a nice 90 base power, and it's going to be, you know, hitting pretty hard. So the item I would probably run on Venusaur, I'd either have heavy duty boots, so you're not going to have any losses on speed, and you could also run, if you weren't worried about that, if you had like a Pokemon to get rid of, like a Defog or Rapid Spin or whatever to get rid of that, you just run something like Life Orb. That would be good. That's just going to give it more base power, right? You know, with stuff like Solar Beam and, you know, Weather Ball. Weather Ball goes from obviously from 50 to 100 base power when the Sun is up too, and turns it into a fire move. So it's going to be hitting very, very hard. In actual fact, Sludge Bomb will be your weakest move, so in terms of base power. So yep, that's another way of doing it. You could also go. There are some other things you could do stuff like Expert Belt, but that's a little bit more gimmicky. The thing that would be really good for Expert Belt would be Weather Ball on a Steel type, because that's going to be you know, obviously super effective and it'll stack with it. But all around, I think Life Orb is pretty good, especially if you're using like this special set here. Some other options you could put on there. You could even, if you don't want to run Weather Ball, which I don't know why you wouldn't for on a like on the Sun team, you could have Earth Power on there too. So Earth Power to me is kind of hard to fit onto this sort of set if you're running Growth. So yeah, Earth Power can hit those pesky Steel types and stuff as well, so it's going to be handy. And it can hit Fire types too, so that's another way of doing it. It's just a weaker move in general, so I would stick with Weather Ball. But if you're really scared about your Sun getting dropped and then you only have a normal type Weather Ball left, then that's another option too. Or you could just straight up go like Weather Ball. You could have like 4 attacking moves and not worry about growth. But with growth up on there, it really definitely gives it a huge boost. So with the EV spread here, you can either go with 2 of them for the sweeping set. I like running Modest on there because it's going to hit really hard. And when you've got that Sun Up doubling your speed, it's already going to be very fast already. So max special attack and max speed for a sweeping set, and just put the last little bit in defense or special defense or whatever. It's not too much for a concern. But yeah, you could go timid as well if you wanted to, if you really wanted that extra bit of speed. But I would honestly go Modest. I'd want to be hitting as hard as possibly can, because I'm going to be outspeeding virtually everything, unless it's something like super, let's say an opposing Venusaur with Timid or something, or a really fast Choice Scarf Pokemon like Dragapult or something like that. Something like blisteringly fast, or Regieleki. That's about the only things you really have to worry about if you're wanting to run Timid over Modest. I like the extra bit of base power, especially if you've got Life Orb. All right, so that's how I go for a Sun Sweeping set. Let's have a look at a physical set too. I know it's not as good, but it's still something to consider, maybe for a bit of surprise. So Venusaur's going to be running very similar to the last one, of course, except it's a physical set. So the EV spread we got, we definitely have to run Adamant Nature. It's obviously its attack is nowhere near its special attack of 100. It's 82. And yeah, we got max speed and max attack, and the last little bit in defense. The moves I've picked on here, we got a Sword Dance. Now, I actually would opt for growth, because that's going to confuse the opponent, right? They're probably just going to think you're going to run a special one, because that's the most common sweeping set, is the special one, especially for singles play. And then you've got Power Whip. Now, Power Whip hits really hard, like it's hard, it's 120 base power. It's like Solar Beam base power, which is really good. And you don't have the Sun Up, right? So that's going to be really nice. Now, this set doesn't so much rely on having Sun as much as the other one. I know you've still got Chlorophyll, right? But the moves that you can use are still going to work, right, at their, mostly at their full base power. So we've got that Earthquake's good for fire types, steel types, poison types. So it's very good, for sure. Gives you great coverage. And since we're lacking a Weather Ball, we're going to use Terra Blast as Terra Fire. And that's going to, the great thing about Terra type Fire on both of these sets, it's such a good Terra for Venusaur, especially for a sweeping set, because you can, opposing fire type, boom, you can go straight into that and get a free growth up, It's a free turn. Plus you can turn, with a special one, you can turn it into Weather Ball, and with this one, you can, have a Terra Blast Fire, so it's very good. Gets around ice types as well. It's very good, and gives you something to do to opposing grass types, so there's so many benefits to having Terra type Fire on Venusaur. The other move, the item I gave, that was Lumberry too. I know that's not going to be so pertinent when you go for a Terra type, but maybe if you're trying to set up earlier, if you think that's a waste of time, not worried about that, you could always, swap that over into something else. You could go, you got like Boots, you got Life Orb as well. They probably run fairly similar for items. Another one you could do could be Wide Lens, because the only thing here about Power Whip is it is a little bit shaky. So Wide Lens will give you that extra 1.1 times on Power Whip. So just bumping it up a little bit into the 90s. So that's going to be good. Or you could opt for this as well. It does get Bullet Seed, which is an option. This gives you 100, you've got 4 of these guaranteed hits if you've got loaded dice on there. So that could work too. That's another option. That way you've got 100 base power there, guaranteed. And it might be 125 if you get that last one. So essentially, it could be more powerful than Power Whip. So that's another way you want to run it too. And that way you won't get any moves missing. And it could be good. It could get around Substitutes, Sturdies, a lot of stuff like that. So that may even be better. That's just another option you can run. Now, Venusaur, to me, has always been a very good defensive wall. So let's have a look at that. And it gets a lot of moves that support it too. So a defensive wall Venusaur, we've got Leech Seed. Leech Seed is a great recovery move there, and doing damage to your opponent and just being a general pain. Giga Drain is always works really nicely with Leech Seed, because you got that double healing, and it's doing some good damage, plus you're recovering 50% of the damage dealt. It gets Toxic as well, which is great. So you can, you've got Toxic and Leech Seed. And I've given it Venoshock too. So Venoshock is going to double in base power. So that's going to make up for some damage a little bit, because we're running this extremely defensive. So we don't have that, max and special attack. So just making up for it and making sure it's not going to be super passive and, obviously being set up on. So I like to run Venusaur as a pure defensive wall if on running this. It just works well for me. Grass types always work best as defensive walls. So we got max health and max defense, bold nature, and then just put the last little bit into special defense. I gave it overgrow instead of chlorophyll. You could give it a chlorophyll, it's fine if you wanted to run it on a sun team too. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like sometimes with these sort of sets, they're always on a low amount of health trying to recover their health back or stall, so they do take a lot of hits. So you might get a big overgrow Giga Drain to heal you back, plus 50%, and I've given a big root on top of that too for extra recovery. So, it's sort of up to you what you want to do there, but both work pretty well. And I've given it Terra type poison too. So just getting rid of that grass type poison. Terra type poison is pretty good as well. That sort of alleviates your flying weakness and any fire and ice weaknesses. So, that's going to be good on a defensive wall set. Now, let's have a look at some doubles here. And I'm going to obviously do some teammates and stuff like that. There's quite a bit to talk about for this. So, now this Venusaur, as you'll notice, is going to be running kind of similar to that single set I was talking about. However, this time we're not really mucking around with like growth or anything like that, because I don't think there's much time to do that. As well, you're waiting on the sun and you want to get some like instant damage here. So I feel like it's not bad growth, but I feel it's a little bit slow. So obviously we've got the same sort of set. We've got max special attack and max speed, modest nature. I like modest, more damage output. I feel like you don't need that extra speed. I feel like it's a bit of a waste there. So I've got protect on here. That's always a great move in general for doubles, scouting, anything along those lines. Or maybe, you need your ally Pokemon to set the sun up that turn, so you got to swap out, get the sun going. It's very, very good. Obviously we put Sludge Bomb in there. I found I use Sludge Bomb and Weather Ball a lot, and I found I could get Sleep Powder to work very well too. So it's a speedy Venusaur that's going to be putting a Pokemon to sleep, and then hitting them hard with a Weather Ball, any Steel types, and Sludge Bomb as well. I actually didn't put a Grass move on here. I felt like it could work without it too, especially if you got like another ally that can deal with those threats. So say for example you had like let's just get rid of this one for a sec. Say, for example, you had, as a partner to this, I would probably have something like Walking Wake. That would make, like, a really, really good partner, because they're both, like, this could deal with any of those, weakness, like, other weaknesses that you can't, handle. So, any rock types that come in and stuff like that, that's going to be quite good. Like, obviously, you've got a fire and a poison type move. So if a rock or ground type comes in, you've got Walking Wake to get rid of it, right? Also, with its ability, it's going to be working in Sun. So it kind of goes hand in hand having that. You've got Venusaur, you've got Walking Wake, you've got Torkoal. Like, that's like a pretty nice core there of Pokemon. Even on a singles team, that's a good core of Pokemon. They all work sort of in unison. So you've got that setting up the sun, and it's going to work very nicely there. And of course, obviously, Flutter Mane as well. Like, I know it's just on every team, but it's going to work very well on that team with its ability. So that's an excellent Pokemon. Even stuff like Incineroar, that's another one as well. So like these are very good Pokemon, like all on the same team. It's going to be a very powerful, like, competitive team. Some other ones you could possibly have on there, if you want to obviously be able to set Sunny up again, you might be able to slide Ninetales on there with Drought too. That's another option, but they're going to work all like really, really well together. I think that's going to be solid as a team. So back to this Venusaur set, and let's explain a little bit more. Of course, we had Chlorophyll. Now, I put Wide Lens on here. I kind of like having that little bit of a boost on Sleep Powder. If you're not really worried about Sleep Powder, you don't really want to put Pokemon to sleep, you could just whack on Solar Beam, right? That's going to work too. So it's all up to what you want to do with your team. I quite liked it for putting Pokemon to sleep as well. It was pretty good. Like, say a real threat, you could put that to sleep, and then, of course, your ally Pokemon could deal with that. So while you're using Sleep Powder, so it's pretty good. Weather Ball, Terra type Fire. Terra type Fire is the best of sweeping sets. It's just the best out of all of them. And yeah, same sort of EVs, Modest Nature, and Wide Lens. If you got Solar Beam on there, you could. I would get some extra damage. Like Life Orb is a very, very good item on this Venusaur for sure. So it works well in double singles. Another one you might want to have on there, if you're really, really worried about fainting, you could opt for a Sash. Like, Sash can work okay in doubles. I probably wouldn't have it in singles, but you could go for Sash if you're very, very worried about getting one-shotted or something like that. Say you hadn't terrored yet and the sun was up and you were scared about an opposing fire type one-shotting you. That could work there too. That's another way of doing it. I'm trying to think of some other items. You could, let's say you might want to forego running Protect on there. Let's say, for example, you don't want to run Protect. You could have Assault Vest too. I could see that absolutely working. I probably would adjust it a little bit. I will probably put, I'm just trying to think. I would opt to put maybe Giga Drain and Solar Beam on there, or I'd put Earth Power on there. That's another option. Let's say your sun sort of ran out. You could do that. So like maybe Earth Power or Giga Drain too. That could be another option. Or just, forget about Solar Beam altogether and put Earth Power on there for just some extra coverage. This is just in case like the sun went down. I'm trying to think of some other options here. So that would give you some more special bulk for sure. The Assault Vest, but just another way of running it right. You could have like more of a speedy one. The only thing, when you drop Protect, you're sort of leaving yourself open to get double targeted and or flinched and stuff like that. So just bear that one in mind. So yeah, any sort of counters that are just going to be really, you've got other sort of like weathers, so like Sandstream and stuff like that. You've got Ninetales, like any other weather Pokemon that are going to like completely mess up your speed, going to be a problem too. So opposing weather teams or even an opposing sun team could be a problem. Like a good counter to Venusaur is Venusaur right in the sun because it's got Terra Fire. So you have to also watch out for that. Like Earth Power could be good against an opposing Venusaur if they go Terra Fire, stuff like that to think about. Some extra stuff here, just some more thoughts on Venusaur, on another sort of set. Once again, if you've got any sets you think are pretty cool, leave it below in the comment section. I always like to read them. This is a bit of a fun set I sort of made up here. So Venusaur does get Curse, and it's a very bulky building set, which is kind of underrated and definitely better in singles for sure. It takes a lot of setup, but yeah, we've got this Curse Terra Electric set. So I thought with Venusaur's like overall bulk, it's pretty good if you go like max health and max special defense EVs. And then if you're using Curse, you're boosting up its defense and attack. So you got, of course, a nice little healing move here, which is great. I'd probably use that over Rest because you could possibly run that on a Sun team too with Chlorophyll, and that would obviously increase your healing capabilities. Or if you want an Overgrow, you could do that too. So you've got Curse, and then you've got Petal Blizzard for a grass type move, and I've given it Terra Blast Electric. Now the reason I did that, you're probably like, what's electric for? So let me explain it. So with I was either thinking normal or electric, so that would only give you one weakness, and with the overall bulk that you're going to have, especially if you're Terra Electric, what's your weakness is ground, right? So if a ground type Pokemon comes in, well, you can just bang them with a Petal Blizzard, so that's going to be really, really good. And then you've just got Terra Blast Electric for a little bit of coverage there. Or if you don't want to have an electric move on there, you could just have something like Earthquake. So just for coverage, right? Any steel type Pokemon. So that's another option you could go for there as well. This is more of like a defensive Terra type. Alike, you could also do normal on there, but I quite like having electric because you're already a grass Pokemon, right? So you're going to be hitting those ground types super hard. Even with no curses up, it's still going to be pretty good, right? So that's another way of running it. I've given it leftovers as the item, and yeah, you could give it Black Sludge if you wanted to, but once again, if you Terra, you're going to have to sort of like watch out there. All right, let's have a look at this last set, and we'll go over some more options for Venusaur. So this is the Pip Night special. I like to do the competitive sets. I like to do some fun sets, and I also like to do some silly meme sets. So here we go, people. Don't use this against me, by the way. So we've got a max health, max speed set, Jolly Nature, right? So a bit of strange EVs there. However, what we want to do here is we want to try and make the opponent salty. So we've got a Body Slam to paralyze them. So we've got a thick 30% chance. Now we've also got Bullet Seed for multiple hits there, and King's Rocks. What we're trying to do, we're trying to paralyze them and we're trying to flinch them. Now, while we're trying to do all that sort of stuff, we want to set up Ingrained first and then Leech Seed. So this will give us Sustain while we're trying to paralyze and attack them. So when we get a flinch, that's a round of Leech Seed recovery. That's another round of Ingrain. If they get paralyzed, that's another round of each. So you're sort of healing yourself up there. The only drawback to using Ingrain is you can't swap out. So it's definitely a gimmicky set, and it's made to just make the opponent very, very salty. So I've used this before. It's absolutely terrible, but it is fun to use when everything goes right. So yeah, this is another people special there. Terra type, you could put Terra Normal on that. Like real talk, you could go for Terra Normal or just leave it as grass, so you could get more base power out of, I don't know, Bullet Seed or whatever like that. So just another option. So let's have a look at Venusaur's moves here anyway. I just want to do some sort of like last minute thoughts on this. So let's have a look at all the status moves. So we sort of established some of these moves already. So we've looked at Curse, Leech Seed, that they work pretty well together, or a stalling set. Protect is very good at doubles. Now it does get Raw. You could possibly, that bulky set, that defensive wall set, you might be able to implement Raw onto that if you had a Stealth Rock user or a Spikes user. That could actually work. As well, but I might be inclined to change that up to like, I might put Rest and Sleep Talk on that if I was to go for that, or at least another healing move, because Leech Seed and Leech Seed's not like amazing sustain. It's going to need probably some more immediate recovery if you want to use Raw all the time, but that's another option for sure. We've got Sub as well, so you could do a Sub Seed set. That could be annoying. It does get Sword Dance, but mostly everyone's going to use Growth there, so to keep the surprise. We've got Toxic, of course. We've got a nice little healing move here, and it actually gets Amnesia as well, which is kind of interesting. So you could have like an Amnesia set, maybe on like a really, you might be able to slot that on the defensive wall, but look, you could give it Amnesia. That could be absolutely disgusting. So, but you're kind of limiting yourself a little bit for, you might get set up on as well. So that's another option. If you want to put special defensive on this, it would be very bulky. Like, it would be very, very bulky, but it is a very interesting move to run on it. It gets some very nice stalling moves and defensive moves. Gets Charm, that's a little bit more gimmicky. It does get Grassy Terrain too, if you want to set that up. Of course, Growth is a bread and butter on the sweeping set. It does get Helping Hand, so you could, maybe in doubles, you could... I'm just trying to think, like, maybe in doubles, you could have, like, a defensive wall set and have Helping Hand. So, like, this is going to be, like, this is obviously pure gimmicky here. Like, I'd run this as, like, I love defensive sets on grass Pokemon. They work the best. So, I would run, if you really, really wanted to run this as a defensive wall and double. So, just something extra for doubles, a little bit different. I'd have Helping Hand Protect, which is nice. I would also I'd definitely have Giga Drain on there. That would be very good. And I'd probably have, I'm just trying to think, maybe Earth. I'd either opt for Earth Power. Let's have a look at its status moves. I'm just making this set up on the spot. I think it's got a little bit of promise. Oh, okay, like, this is not bad either. So it gets Worry Seed too. So you could possibly partner it up with, let's say, I don't know, something that has like a terrible ability, like Slaking or something like that, and you could use Worry Seed on your partner and get rid of like something like True Ranch, So that's another option too, as a or as an annoying ability that the opponent has. You could Worry Seed them and turn them into give them Insomnia. So that's another way you could actually run a Venusaur. Most people are going to run the sweeping set though, but this Helping Hand set could be quite bulky and quite a surprise. For you to use against the opponent. So yeah, that's another way of running it. Like I said, if you've got any more movesets and stuff, let me know in the comments section. I think I've done a pretty damn good look at this. So that's its status moves. We'll have a look at its special moves, of course. So very good special moves. Now, Energy Ball, I didn't mention Energy Ball. I probably should have, but that's there as a little bit more offensive move. So it's sort of like, I feel like most people are going to either pick Giga Drain or Solar Beam, though, because Solar Beam works on the Sun team. Giga Drain is a good move in base power. It's great for sustain, whereas the Energy Ball is just like pure offense and has a chance of special defense drop. But I feel like that's not going to be picked as much as the other two moves. It does get Grass Knot. That's too situational for heavier targets. It does get Leaf Storm if you want to try like a choice spec set with like Leaf Storm and Sludge Bomb. It's a pity it doesn't get... Imagine if we got Sludge Wave. That'd be really, really... Like, that would be excellent move on it for doubles, right? Terra Blast, you're going to be mainly seeing... I'd say Terra Blast Fire could work as well. Weather Ball, you're going to be seeing that for Fire all the time. And yeah, it's actually quite limited when you look. It's mostly grass moves. So as a lot of grass Pokemon are. As for the physical moves, we got more a variety on the physical side. It does get some good stuff like Earthquake and Power Whip. Knockoff is another option too on the physical set if you want to get around those psychic types, because it is a poison type. So that's another option. Outside the realms that it doesn't get too much, you might be able to do something fun with like Stomping Tantrum and Rest and Sleep Talk or something. You could go with Grassy Glide as a grassy terrain like Rillaboom or something like that. Getting a priority Grassy Glide, but with its with its 55 attack power and 82 base, it's not going to do doing too much. But anyway, to sum it up, Venusaur is a excellent Pokemon on some teams. It's a great special sweeper. It can serve as a defensive wall, or you might even be able to trick them with a physical set. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I might do another one tonight too. Maybe we'll look at Blastoise next time, because I've already done Charizard. So if you're looking for Charizard, I've done that. Check out the playlist, and check out the playlist for other Pokemon too. I've done hundreds of these already. And if you're new to the channel, drop a like, maybe subscribe. I do these guides all the time, and have a wonderful day or night. Peace out, people.